City magazine is just really pulling out all the stops, man. Your guys' production value of this magazine has gone insane. I mean, look at that. I mean, I remember when you guys, it was black and white. Even when it was black and white, I thought your quality was great. But damn, they have just, I mean, they just really stepping it up a notch. Look at this. James Corbett, boys. James Corbett.
Genuinely cutting, but also funny, and obviously just chaotic and very fun.
I love Flip City. It has brought new types of badassery and integrity to the print medium.
Who am I, you ask? I was created in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by the waste of a dying world. I was bestowed with an insurmountable task: bring peace after decades of death, persecution, and chaos. I am a grandchild of war, destined to help two camps which hate has fueled for far too long. Surprisingly, I am not alone. Have an odd bunch to make the road a little more bearable. Come with me to bring hope where there was despair, respect where there was resentment, creativity where there was destruction. I am Pinocchio, and this is my story.
mission. You must pre-see the Nazi force and secure the artifact, then get to the extraction point before they arrive. Failure to do so will result in being hopelessly outnumbered.
It's time we take the fight to bed.
The news we have of the Allied invasion of northwestern France is still a national lesson from the Associated
for fulfilling his high objective.
Along the whole North African coastline, the Allies can strike simultaneously.
Space.
I like these calm little moments before the storm.
Money comes big. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not small. No, no, no.
Kiss my entire. Oh, my darling. Not 3 times on the ceiling if you want me.
Your coffee, sir.
Thanks, beautiful.
You're welcome.
This is a man's world.
Wow! What's going on, Tanner Hurley?
What's going on, my brother? How are you?
I'm all right. Had to rush. Got my partner DG hitting me up for my mailing address because he got to ship some campaign stuff down here to me while I'm live. So I had to run and call him real quick. I like to say I managed that pretty well. Oh my gosh. Let's see who's hanging out with us today. Dark Gift's not really, he's just kind of at the post office. Sam, what's going on? Good to see you. Oh, he said, I got to pop in and say hi before I go back to work. Busy day. Hope everyone's enjoying it. Yep. Same, brother. Hope you're having a great day. Abo Grizz in the house, as always. Good to see you. And to the lurkers out there, we see you. We know you're there. Feel free to say hi. We got a good show for you today. We got some fresh picked memes right out of the meme garden. We're going to be chatting with a gentleman today who is just full beast mode artist, old school guy, kind of like me. Looking forward to that conversation.
Heck yeah.
It's been an interesting week.
Do tell.
It's I almost can't, Tanner. I almost can't. It defies all reason. What's going on in the world today? So I think our best bet. I think the best thing we can do is just get into our meme review. What do you think?
Let's hop in.
Let's do this thing.
This is not a drill. This is not a drill. General quarters. All hands, man your battle station.
Let's get right into it. Let's kill that banner, Pops, if you don't mind. Bam! Number 1. They mounted a vegan to the wall at my local butcher shop. By the way, this is real, 100% confirmed. This actually happened. If you keep them busy with basic needs, they'll forget about the freedom they lost. This is also a true story. But Venezuela's making a comeback. Just saying. They got that Giga Chad with a really bad hairdo down there taking care of business. Now this, boys and girls, by the way, has been my week. This is how social media works. I prefer mangoes to oranges. Then some rando pops in your chat. So basically what you're saying is you hate oranges. You also failed to mention pineapples, bananas, and grapefruits. Educate yourself. I'm literally shaking.
That's pretty much how it works.
Yeah, that's social media every day of the week. But then on that continuing list of things that certain sides of the spectrum find problematic, the Constitution is sacred. Is it also dangerous? One of the biggest threats to America's politics might be the country's founding document. Now, hear me on this very carefully. If you espouse this point of view, yes, that's why the Constitution was written. It's supposed to be dangerous to totalitarianism. Bam! Looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. According to Facebook fact checkers, it is in fact a squirrel. You don't need 30 rounds to hunt, correct? But the Second Amendment was not written in case the deer turn against us. By the way, I was having that same discussion with someone that's a anti-Second Amendment nut. And they were saying, oh, do you actually think the military would go around and try to disarm the populace? And then the footage from Hurricane Katrina popped up of the National Guard going door to door, seizing people's weapons. It happened. And just in case you were wondering why Tim Waltz looked a little familiar to you, a few short years ago, just a few short years, I'm just saying. This kid was born with a suspended driver's license. Bless his heart. I can almost hear the Schlitz malt liquor cans popping open. Consider this. There are dogs with more deployments than Tim Waltz. Hard truth is a hard truth. Just like this one. But seriously, though, I do have a question, Tanner. Why do they always look like this? Why? I'm just, it's just an inquiring mind wants to know. What's going on, Tree Goblin? Good to see you, my friend. That moment when you thought you hit a dog, but it was just a climate change protester. I forgot to put my disclaimer out there, Tanner. Should I go ahead and do it?
You might as well.
This is not a safe space. If your fifis get offended by jokes or facts, you're in the wrong place. Leave now. Liberals living in gated communities telling poor people that that it's their imagination that Venezuelan gangs are taking over apartment complexes. By the way, that someone shared with me just a little while ago that now that's happening in Chicago also.
Wow.
I don't know if Chicago is the neighborhood you want to try that in.
Yeah.
they might put a cap in your ass. Speaking of, now that the couple of these diversity goals are achieved, there's your diversity. Listen, boys and girls, never be afraid to be this guy. This is me all day, every day. I am perfectly willing to stand up to the mob and tell them you're wrong. So sit there in your wrongness and be wrong. So this has been another exciting episode of Doc's Meme Review. Actually, it's Doc's Trail Mix now. I forgot we changed the name of it. Venezuelan gangs taking over apartment complexes while their own governor says, no, that's a myth. It's not really happening. And the mayor in Aurora was saying, yes, the fuck it is. It's happening.
It's happening. Hey, Stephen B.
Hey, Stephen B. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, Tree Goblin, as always. Glad to have you guys here. So, I think my main thing, though, my main takeaway has been this pervasive global attack on free speech that's been going on. You got people in Great Britain who are having their doors kicked open and being arrested for Facebook posts that someone else found offensive. You got Brazil trying to blackmail Elon Musk into censoring content.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
Like, you have the ability to threaten the richest man on the planet with
he's just going to buy Brazil. No big deal.
I was going to say, he pulls up a global map and goes, add to cart.
Add to
cart. But it's happening everywhere, and it's happening here. If you don't think it is, go over and post what you actually think on Facebook and watch what happens. If I were to speak in a direct manner to you now on this platform, we would get deplatformed because certain viewpoints are just not welcome in the marketplace of ideas. And that's always dangerous. Okay. The solution to a bad idea is not to say, shut up, is to espouse your good idea. Right. All censorship is saying, shut up. That's just a horrible way to run a railroad. Just my thoughts. What do you think, chat?
Well, I'm reminded of the Frank Miller propaganda posters for the comic book legal defense fund back in the 90s.
Right.
It was always, had the little girl with the Band-Aids on her eyes and nose and then ears and then they're going to put one on her mouth. Fight censorship.
Yep. Hey, Rocky, what's going on, buddy? Rocky Cam. Pops, I think you're muted. He's talking to us and you're muted. Rocky. Rocky. Talk to. No, we missed it. We missed the Rocky broadcast.
Rocky, come back here.
He said, no, I don't think so.
He said, nope.
He said, I don't think so. So, yeah, we've got a wonderful. Hello, Rocky.
What's up, buddy?
We're all getting upstaged.
You got something to tell Doc?
We're getting upstaged by a husky.
You got something to tell Doc,
Rocky. Yeah, it's good to see you, buddy. What are you doing? You want to go?
That's it. That's all you get.
Yep. He has cut us off. So we've got a great guest today. I had the privilege of meeting this gentleman a little while back on, I forget where. We'll ask him. He's got a campaign currently funding right now. I'm going to play the trailer for that before we bring him out.
They call me a god. 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 Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations, it's my way, I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation. They call me a god. 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 I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Vince White.
Hey,
What's going on?
Hey, man.
Vince, good to see you.
Yes. Good to see you guys too, man.
Oh, how in the world are you?
In the world of comic books, as long as my hand is working, I guess I'm okay.
Right?
You know, there are
There's a
times
lot
when
of
that's all.
There's a lot of incels out there saying the same thing.
Yeah. Yes. There's a thing that happens in my mind. Okay, my brain and my arm are working. I guess I'll go to work, even though the other parts of my body might not be working properly on any given day.
Yes.
It's what we do.
Which you know what? It's a proper cross reference to superheroes, which I've never heard. And maybe Batman has done this, but how do superheroes feel when they have to get up and go to work to actually fight crime? I know Batman has kind of talked about that, and the Punisher back in the day used to talk about how his ribs were broken or this or that or whatever. That the war journal experience.
Yeah. In the early 80s, I don't know if you remember, Spider-Man had an ulcer that was bleeding on him, and it would double him over with pain, and he would fall out of the sky from web swinging. And he's like, what is going on? Yeah.
No, I don't remember that.
It's absolutely true story. It happened. And I was like, all of us that were reading, we're thinking, oh, something's wrong with his spider powers. It's like, no, my man's just sick.
They forgot how to write the Punisher, and the reason why is that most heroes have a villains gallery, and because the Punisher would kill basically all of his villains, he would never have a villains gallery.
Right.
And so they were stuck. They didn't know how to write the character. But, now just thinking about what you said, like, man, I get up, especially as you get older. You're like, man, my hip, my back, my this and that.
Yeah, that's what you're fighting. That's your rogues gallery, your ailments.
And that's what the Punisher was writing about. His whole story wasn't about the villains.
Yeah, it's about his fight.
They were just cannon fodder, right? It's about his internal thoughts in the war journal.
Yeah,
man,
yeah, that's good stuff. There's so many things that play into that, and that's kind of the appeal, I think. Or let me back that up. That's what appeals to me in a well-written character. It's less about who they're fighting or what they're doing as it is about their mindset, the psychology behind it. What are they struggling against? That's what makes characters appealing to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. The internal struggle and what they are. I have something. I created a book called The Icon Equation. And it's about how to write iconic characters. One of the chapters is the icon of, and what that means is, in the book I try to describe it like on a computer. There's a process where you can take a whole bunch of binary code, zeros and ones, and you can capture it and drag it to a partition area of the hard drive and block it off and not allow the rest of the PC to see it. And you can sum that action up by one icon, the trash can. Because that's what you're doing. When you drag files into the trash can, the files, they don't disappear off your computer.
Right.
They're put behind a partition where the rest of the computer says, oh, we can't see them anymore.
Right.
But that complicated process is represented by this one icon.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So in this chapter, what I say is, well, every character is an icon of something.
Right.
So if you saw your desktop, and it had the head of Batman, the head of Captain America, the head of this.
Right.
When you click it, what do you get?
Mm-hmm.
What is your character the icon of?
Right.
So we're talking about the Punisher. Like they don't know how to write the Punisher anymore because they forgot what he's the icon of. And I'll come back to that. I'm gonna throw out one example, and I want to get your response to it. Two examples. So if I clicked on Superman, you know what I think he's the icon of? Hope.
Yeah.
If I clicked on him, I'm going to get nothing but hope. And his book should reflect that. He's weak, he's down, all the odds are against him, but he hopes and believes. Bam.
Yep.
Batman, he's the icon of either vengeance or justice.
Mm-hmm.
If I click that, his book should just explode with that, right?
Correct.
And, to go back to the Punisher, I don't know what he is. I mean, we were talking about it, but I mean, if based off that concept, I don't know if that concept is clear, but
yes, it is.
Yeah.
What characters do you think are icons or whatever, and what And
well, I think if you click on the Punisher, you get punishment. That's what he stands for. I mean, you fucked around. Now you're going to find out. He's the FO of the FAFO. Fuck around, and somebody like Frank Castle shows up in your world. Well, maybe I shouldn't have mugged that little old lady after all.
Mm-hmm. Just that simple. Simple. And you know what? Like I give the example in the book, like Daredevil. Daredevil is the icon of fearlessness.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
fearlessness, because he's blind. A lot of times we get overwhelmed by looking at the opposition.
Right.
We're looking at it. We're like, oh my God, I can't beat this guy. He's 10 times bigger. He's right.
Mm-hmm.
We already defeat ourselves in the mind. But Daredevil, he's blind, so he doesn't see like you and I see.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't have visual fear.
Right.
Exactly. I read out the scenario where, okay, he's Matt Murdock. He's walking down the New York sidewalk with his assistant, female assistant, with files. They're talking about caseloads or whatever. It is a crowded New York sidewalk, right? They come to the edge where it's a crosswalk. The crosswalk says, stop, don't walk. Right. His assistant stops.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't. He keeps walking out in front of the traffic. All of the cars just scream. They bang into each other. He walks all the way to the other side, turns around to his assistant and says, aren't you coming?
Yep.
Once you understand what your character is the icon of,
yep,
it's very easy to write that character. So,
yeah, you got to understand the ink in the well.
Absolutely.
What are you dipping your pen into?
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
I mean, I got to be careful with that metaphor because dipping your pen in the company well is a bad thing, and so
what's going on?
The old saying, "Don't dip your pen in the company ink well. Don't have an affair at work."
I take comic books seriously because I think it's the one of maybe many American creations. The comic books are American fantasy, in my opinion.
Yes, we are creating the new mythologies of our time.
Yes. Every culture has mythologies. You go to the Irish, they got the leprechauns and the fairies and the rainbows and the You know, the pots of gold, right? You go to the Orient. You know, you got the samurai, the shogun, the ninja. You know, you go to Europe and so forth. You got the knights, the dragons, the wizards. You know, like these cultural icons represent like social subconscious norms. There's some expression of the society as a whole, right?
Yeah,
The
think about
Shogun.
think about that. It was really cool in Hancock when his other immortal he runs into, she starts explaining to him, you know, back during ancient Greece, we were gods, and then we were demons, we were angels, and now we're superheroes.
Now we're superheroes. Yeah.
Think about that. That's the mythology, you know, that we're creating. If you're good at what you do, then you get to put one of those up on that big pantheon. You get a Batman, a Captain America, a Superman, you know.
If you're iconic, and think about those. Think about what you just said. Like those heroes, all of those heroes were iconic representations of something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, like who's not Xerxes? Someone was the goddess of harvest. One was the goddess of the god of lightning. They all represented different things.
Yes. I think actually Athena was. She was wisdom.
I think that was Athena.
And the harvest, I think. It's been a long time since college. I'm sorry. I know there'd be a pop quiz today.
So Vince, Doc, you are the guy. Hold on, I'll let you come in and then take us off this. But I just want to say this, Doc, you are the god of whiskey voice rattle.
I am the Giga Chad. It's you know, it's one of those things where when I'm creating characters, I like to pull from a lot of what I like. Now, Stephen Brush had a great saying. He's a best-selling author, long-time series since the 80s, the Vlad Tautos series. And someone asked him, said, what is your theoretical model to writing that you follow? This is at a college where it's literature majors and writing majors. And he said, well, my theory isn't any of those. My theory is I have above my desk a placard that says, and now I'm going to tell you something cool.
And now I'm going to tell you something cool, right? That's
right. So he expounded on that and he said, look, think about swords. All right. Immediately you're either thinking Conan the Barbarian with a big ass sword, you're thinking knights and plate mail, or you're thinking Three Musketeers. He goes, I like rapiers and cloaks. So that's what I think's cool. So I write about that. And chances are, if you think it's cool, someone else will too.
Yeah.
So I try to draw from stuff that I think is cool. But if it doesn't have some catharsis, some identifiable, aspirational, or cathartic value to it, I don't write it. I want my characters to be, you know, they're flawed, but they're doing this. They have this goal, and it's intensely personal, and it's heavily relatable. Everyone has Pariah Blood and Mud as a revenge arc. Someone is wronged horribly and they're going to go get that revenge. And you begin to identify with the pain this person feels. And the only way they can expunge it is by going out here and getting revenge. Then you've got another character, my Jake Bishop character. He's all about justice. He doesn't even compute with him that there's a different way of thinking about that. So you get a guy that's law and order mentality, and you get a Punisher mentality, and they're fighting the same crime. They're still going to be at odds with each other. And they did that beautifully, by the way, in the Netflix show where Daredevil meets the Punisher, and he calls him a half measure. You know, you
The
lock them up.
Punisher calls Daredevil a half measure, right?
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you lock somebody up and they come back. I kill them and they're killed forever.
Kill him. Yeah, yeah.
Like that. I like that intensity. I like that clarity of purpose. Even when they struggle with it, it's still beautiful to see. But Vince, what I want you to do is the chat's watching. Tell people who you are. I didn't do a good job of introducing you. We just jumped right in.
Hey, I jump right in. That's how you do it, man.
Yeah.
Jump in. I'll say this. If you're interested in comics and you want to make comics or write comics or just, do it, have it on your bucket list. You got to just jump in and not ask a lot of questions, because I'm telling you,
right,
the reward only exists in your heart. It does.
Yep.
And unless, something happens, because people can connect to that. They can tell when you're genuine, you come up with a really cool concept. The last guy I can think of is Robert Kirkman, who created, The Walking Dead. I knew him. I was in Artist Alley with him in San Diego when he just had, Battle Pope. And we were stuff, We never thought his stuff was going to get somewhere. But I should have maintained that friendship.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of success there.
Let me see your Easter basket. Let me just give you an Easter basket, a Christmas card.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of truth to what you just said, though, Vince. If you go into this thinking you're going to get rich, you're going to be disappointed. If you go into this thinking you're going to make a living doing it, you're going to have to struggle to get there. I've said many times, and it's because it's true, I can do a single painting in a day that'll sell for more than I've made in comic books. But I'm addicted to that storytelling. I love telling the stories. You've got to be passionate about it. You got to be dedicated to it through the highs and the lows, and you better get used to being disappointed.
This is not a road for the unchallenged. But if you understand what you're doing, if you understood the conversation about the icons, then you understand what we're doing is we're actually trying to make a cultural impact, and that's something that has been very important to me. So, as a young child, I'll transfer it to the story of who I am.
Sure.
As a young child, I'm a man of a certain age, and
you think?
my brother had comic books, and I was not allowed to touch them. We had one room on the bunk bed, and he kept them in a shoebox underneath his bed. And when he was away, I would get into that shoebox and I would open up those comic books. And this is in the 70s, and I couldn't read at that time. I couldn't read, but the comic books were like visual, books, visual stories.
Right.
And so I didn't have to know exactly what was going on because the storytelling was so powerful back then.
Right. Exactly.
The artists, they were amazing, man.
They understood visual storytelling like no other.
This is the art form that is unique to Americana,
Yes.
And I was looking at these stories that I was trying to figure out how to read, and I realized I had dyslexia, or my parents realized, my teachers realized it later on. And so when I see a lot of text, I can see letters backwards and things like that.
Oh wow!
I get E's confused with threes. I get D's confused with B's. Lowercase. Because it's all one straight line with a bubble. But is it facing this way or is it facing that way, right? And E's are the same as threes, they're just facing different ways.
Correct.
So with dyslexia, I had, my teachers would give me books that were just pages full of text, and I would just be, oh my God, I would be intimidated.
Right.
But with comic books, they would shorten the text down to one bubble. And I could focus on that bubble and I could read. You understand what I'm saying? And my brother would catch me. He was like, "You're doing my comic books?" He grabbed me, put me in the headlock, and back then they had this thing called a noogie.
Yes, sir.
He was rubbing on your forehead. You stop messing with my comic. Man, those are the things.
Yeah, yes. The noogie.
The noogie. Yeah.
The worst. Wait, Doc. What was worse than the noogie? It had something to do with two hands and pulling up.
Oh, yeah.
The wedgie. Yeah, we had my brother and I had one that was unique. It was the match finger. I'd put a finger on his forehead and go like I was striking a match. He'd say something stupid. I'd go, "Oh, that's a match finger. Come here."
You put on his what? You put on his where?
You put a finger right on his forehead. Go like you're striking a match. Match finger. I was a terrible brother. I was the one not letting my brother read my comic books.
No, you were the bad guy. You were the dude.
I was the bad guy. I was, and now we're of a certain age, and he never lets me forget it.
I've been through 3 generations of that. I didn't let my little brother look at my books. I didn't let my son look at my books till he was old enough, and I didn't let the grandkids look at books till they were old enough.
It's crazy how guarded.
Who the hell was that?
What?
Who the hell was that?
What?
Who is this guy?
What guy?
Can I help you, sir?
Nah.
Oh. You mean the internet troll, Crom, just came in.
Vince, tell people who you are. Let's start with this. Yes, you have a current campaign going, and we're going to look at it. But you've been doing this for longer than this campaign's existed. Yeah. Tell people a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I love comics ever since I was a kid. I was getting into this, and I was enamored by comic strips. I got to meet one of our local comic strip artists who put out a comic strip in our newspaper. It was called Flegel. I was like maybe 9 years old. My brother was like 14 or 13, and we were both artists. We got invited to his home. He showed us, how he created comic books for the Daily Press, which is the newspaper here in Virginia. And I was just like, man, I'm going to be a comic strip artist. And I didn't fall in love with comic books until I was like 18. And man, it hit me so hard. I was just like, man, I love it. And I lived in San Diego at the time. And that was when Wildstorm was there.
Right.
So I tried to get into Wildstorm, man. I fought very hard. I ended up being like a groupie. I ended up getting with Digital Broom. They were the guys that were creating Phantom Guard and
Vanguard.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what else they were doing for them.
But anyway, 4.
Yeah. I got to fill in the black inks and got to go get them chicken.
That, they call that being an intern, right?
Yes.
But really what it is, the analogy is this. You're a local band and you've got that one friend that will roadie for free just to get in the show. That's exactly what it is. You do the grunt work and you get in the show.
And this was the day where these were the days where comic books were like a freaking conveyor belt. What is it called?
Assembly line.
Assembly line, yeah.
Yep.
So Digital Broom was headed up by Matt Broom. Underneath him was Ryan Benjamin. Underneath Ryan Benjamin, I think the writer's name, but underneath him was myself and my friend Arnie Gordon. So we would do the backgrounds of the pages. We would fill in the blacks, and we would get them coffee. We would go get chicken for them, and Digital Broom, because we were all people of color. So Wildstorm saw us. They weren't Wildstorm. They were Homage. I think they were Homage under Image. They saw us as the Black Studio. So they saw us as a Black Studio. That's how they saw us, right? So we produced a couple of comics, and they didn't have faith in those comics, and I can understand why. But that's how I got my taste. I got my taste there.
Right.
They eventually got to the point where they kicked us out. I became disenfranchised with comics, and now in 2011, I'm an established graphic designer. I went to school and all these things. I was like, let me do a comic book, and I put out The Legend of Willpower, and it sold pretty well. It did well. It went all over the world. A black and white comic book, and things happen. You make mistakes. I fall off the grid. So the Eternal is my first real comeback, and I'm dealing with Brian Frazee. He created the character. I told him, you got something good here. Let me help you develop it. So it's called The Eternal. It's live on Kickstarter. It's nothing that you would ever perceive it being. It's a superhero comic, but it's not a superhero comic.
Right. And I want to dive into that here in a second, but first I wanted to share a little anecdote with you. My best friend was one of the writers I worked with in comics back in the 90s. And his dream project was a character called Will Powers. And
Will Powers.
And he's all about, of course, willpower. That's kind of his icon. And he said, I'm writing this. So I was talking to him recently, and I said, yeah, you're going to have to scratch Will Powers because it's already been used in trade. And he's like, what?
What's even funnier is when he told me the name of his book, he said, The Legend of Will Power. I'm sitting here thinking, isn't there an IndyCar champion that races like right now named Will Power? Yes, there is.
Well, anyway, my buddy was he was just crushed. He's like, I have to rethink my whole life now.
I'm glad I can make people, rethink their life trajectory.
He may be watching right now. Charles, if you're watching, say hi. But Vince, you've got this project that you just alluded to. The Eternal. Number one, a superhero comic book. I love the clarity of that punch right off Jump Street. Now, we've watched the trailer. Tell us about the character, and specifically, since you're the artist, you had a great take on his design when we talked last about how you've created this iconic look here. Pardon the pun.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll be succinct. So what Brian was trying to do was he was taking literary characters that of old, and he was trying to put a superhero spin on them, and so you could take characters like from Peter Pan, Huck Finn, right, and you could turn them into a character like Green Arrow.
Sure.
So the Eternal is much like that. So I said, you know what? Let's since all the characters are based off of literary sources, let's make this universe a library. So we created this thing called a cosmic library. There's a cosmic librarian, and he contains all the stories that have ever existed in this library.
Nice.
And so he pulls out, the first book he pulls out is The Eternal, but it's based off of a story we all know. But it has been superheroized.
Right.
It's like,
Scroll down, Pops. Scroll
it's like
down to the
taking,
next image.
it's like taking
right there.
Robin Hood and putting him in a city,
Right.
and that city is controlled by Wilskin Fisk, and he is breaking up all of his organizations and taking that money and giving it to the needy type of thing.
Right.
So that's what the immortal universe is. That's what the eternal is. And once you realize what character he's based off of, you're gonna be like, "Oh wow, I never saw that coming." So
I love it. I love it. And what a great looking design you made for this guy. Let's talk about the process of getting from concept to where you landed with this.
Well, I told Brian, I said, "Hey, I have this thing called the icon equation. Let me use it on your character." He was like, "Well, okay, well, all right. We already talked about the icon of, right? Well, I have this other thing called, spell, SPEL, simple name, P, primary colors, E, easy to draw, L, logo. All of your iconic characters have those things.
Right.
All of them. Iron Man, Superman, Wonder Woman, all are based on primary colors. You will never see a hero in purple, green, turquoise. You might see them, but they're not iconic. They're not the top heroes you think of. So the primary colors are red, blue, and yellow.
Correct.
So let's make them, one of those. And let's give them a logo. Let's give them a simple name. And so that's what I came up with. He's very easy to draw, and I think I like how he looks. I thought I
Yeah. I mean, he looks great, and you got the high contrast. You've got the elements of the no glove, no mask.
You're the second person that said that, and I have not thought about that as much.
Right.
So what does that mean to you?
It was me that brought it up to you. It speaks to this guy's very real. He's not hiding from you. He interacts with the world authentically. Batman deliberately is deceptive. A lot of superheroes obviously are. They don't want you to know who they are. Gloves hide fingerprints, and it's a barrier between you and that person when you shake hands with them. But the bare hands, there's nothing there. There's no fakeness to it. I like that.
You say it very clearly. Yeah, very clearly. Yep. And that falls into archetypes. And he's in that hero, paladin.
Yeah.
Good boy archetype. Yeah.
Yep. Strength and courage. Yeah. Levi's, that's what he's picking up. Levi's a great artist also. Picking up from from that design, you see strength, you see courage, indomitable. I like all that. This looks great. And I don't know why the white boots work so well with that, but they damn do.
Yeah, what's his name? It didn't work so well on Satantas or
Well, remember the Punisher started off with white boots.
That's true.
Yes, he did. I think the key is don't make them larger than your legs, and don't put elevator like the man in charge can pick on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The stretch goals here. First of all, Pop, scroll back up. What's the funding goal here? All the way to the top. Bam. All right. So fully funded by just a wee margin. We need to get this thing up to some of these stretch goals. Everyone that's done a campaign knows that you need a little bit of wiggle room on your funding because people will refund on you for, they had their washing machine died and they needed the money, whatever. So you gotta keep pushing forward. So the next stretch goal at 1350 is a sneak peek of, what does it say?
Another title. And so I'll tell you, we developed that title on line, on air live, and
Okay.
it was
nice.
The Legend of Tarzan. So we were like, okay, so this is how we do it in the Immortal universe. Okay, so instead of them being on a ship, they are aristocrats that have a upper echelon penthouse at the top of the tallest building. Think Gargoyles, the cartoon. And there's a thunderstorm that happens that destroys their penthouse, and maybe there's a break-in, and these aristocrats are left lifeless, but their child survives. He survives in the arboretum. So the pigeons and the plants begin to take care of this baby and raise him to an adult or young adult. And then he becomes like the prince of the city. He starts, the pigeons know him, the plants know him, and he starts to develop this relationship with the city. And he starts to swing around the city via vines, electrical cords, pigeons, things like that. So he's Tarzan, but he's not the king of the jungle. He's the king of
the urban jungle.
The urban jungle.
King of
nice.
concrete.
Much like Jack Hawksmoor of what was that?
Stormwatch.
The Authority.
Yeah.
He has this connection with the city. So we started developing that. We said that online, and now we're developing him. He's going to be called something called the Urban Myth, where he is, someone's robbing someone in the subway, and they run away with the money, and all of a sudden the payphones start to ring as the guy's running away. He's like, "What's going on?" The gate closes. Bam!
See, yeah.
Right? The guy lands down, and before the gates, he starts to run away. The subway runs in and stops, so there's no way for him to go down the tunnel.
Right.
So this is our spin on Tarzan.
Nice.
And this is what the Immortal universe is. They're stories from the library twisted into a way where you might see them in a whole other light. So
yeah, a fresh spin on legendary characters. That's a great idea. I love it, and I love that you've got this hub. This library, this galactic library. It's amazing. I love that. What a great idea. Levi Skeen wants to know any plans for a Fund My Comic campaign.
For what campaign?
Fund My Comic instead of Kickstarter.
Oh! Look, no, I've been made aware of all these different avenues, and that might be the next venue we use.
Right?
Yeah, we're always open to it.
Yeah. Let's go back up, Pops. Let's get off the stretch goals for a second. Let's look at what people get when they back the Immortal here, or Eternal, excuse me.
There ain't nothing up, dude. There's nothing up here. Nothing.
Roll down. You better roll down.
You gotta go way down, dude.
Well, you see art. You see some paper. And once you get past, go all the way down. It's fine.
The
I will
rewards.
tell you. Go
see on the
to
left, Pops, where it says the rewards.
Rewards tab. Yeah.
There we go.
So there's two huge posters, which have their character, their attributes broken down based off the indie deck model, which is a collectible card I guess card series. I guess the way you say.
Okay.
Something that was created. There's a system where every attribute is laid out. The creators pick what the attribute could be, and so if you create a character, you go into the indie deck system. You pick how strong your character is because you're the creator. And so there's no dispute because you're the creator. So if you line up against the Punisher and you say, my strength is 8, and the creator of the Punisher says my strength is 7, there is no dispute. And we have over 150 characters in the indie deck system.
Nice.
So the posters are based off of that. You also get the lava lamp. You also get the extended edition cover, which has all of my thumbnails, all of the messed up pages. Yeah, because I messed up a lot, and
that's in the deluxe edition. That's where that's included.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
We break down all of our arguments, and
yeah,
you know, hey, we gotta figure it out.
Yeah.
You should get that as well.
I love it. I love peeking behind the curtain to see the process.
And that lava lamp is only like 6 or 7 inches high. It's not super big, but you know, if you work in a cubicle in an office, like
technically plasma globe, not lava lamp. So this is one of those things where if you touch it, the little lightning will come to your finger and stuff. Yeah,
which
that's
is
awesome.
reminiscent of the Eternals' ability.
Exactly. Very cool. Got the mini posters by Indie Deck.
They're not even mini. They're pretty big, but
okay.
Oh yeah, 12 by 16.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
They're pretty big.
And then, of course, there's the breakdown on the production costs.
The books are black and white. So let me put that up.
Yeah.
You know, we were trying to go for that nostalgic look, and
sure.
And
how many pages, Vince?
Oh, this thing, gosh, I think it's like 20. It went from 21 to like 24 or 26 pages.
Okay, all right.
Got up there. But I was trying to tell Brian, because he's younger than I was like, you know what? Back in the day, we would have these things called ash cans.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was like, what's ash cans? I said,
oh, no.
I was like, man, it's the best part of the freaking comic book, man.
Oh, amen to that.
I was like, this is why I think The Walking Dead succeeded, because The Walking Dead was just all black and white comic books.
Right. Now, a lot of people don't know that Ashcan originally got its name for, it was a little comic just to get your idea across, to share with somebody. And if the publisher didn't like it, it went in the ash can. It just got burned. And that's where it got its name.
I didn't know that part.
That's true. That's true. I remember that.
True story. Because, you know, back in the day, everybody smoked, and there was always that big butt can in the middle of the room, and that's where the bad ones went. Just burn them up.
and you know what, Doc, man, that was the whole purpose of Comic Cons. Well, sort of. That you would go up with your portfolio. There'd be a whole bunch of editors at Marvel or DC, and you would show your artwork.
Right.
Do you remember this, Doc?
I absolutely do.
Okay, I don't want to be speaking, something wrong, but yeah, you would show all your artwork, and they would just ridicule. They were running red.
they were rough.
Yeah, a lot of them would really savage. Some of them would give you good feedback. Work on this, work on that. And I remember you talked about running into some of those guys back in the day. This was pre-internet. I was at a con.
Yes,
the only one I went to for this one particular company I was working for, who shall remain nameless. And we were over in Artist Alley with a bunch of up and coming people, up and comers like Jeff Smith, who did Bone, Ben Edlund, who did The Tick,
Wow.
those guys. And
Are you older than me? I guess you're older than me. I don't know.
I might
We
be. I might just be. I can remember the 60s. I'll put it that way.
Yeah,
But there were certain new superstars emerging back then. And we learned very quickly, don't ever meet alleged heroes. But at the same convention, I met George Perez, and he was a gentleman.
Yeah.
He was wonderful. He spent an inordinate amount of time talking to me like a normal human being, and I absolutely enjoyed it. I treasure that memory. And then I met another person who will remain nameless, who was a big star, and he was a complete asshole. I mean, not like he hated my artwork. So,
is he still alive?
yes, he is, and he's still
Just spit it out. Nobody knows.
A very big name. And I don't mean he hated on my book or hated on my artwork. I mean, he was just an asshole. There was back in the day, if you were Artist Alley, but you were with a small press publisher, well, they had a little break room for you. And there was just Cokes and a cooler, and like a few chairs you could go sit in. Then there was the VIP guest room for the big guys, So while I was talking to George Perez, he wandered in there to get a snack and a beverage, and I went in with him. And this superstar said, he saw my pass, and he goes, "You're not supposed to be in here." And George Perez, of all people, looked at him and goes, "He's with me." And I was like, "Asshole, good guy."
Wow. Yeah, covered by George Perez. Man. That's big.
He was a great guy. So one of the other questions I had for you, other than what's next, because you've already kind of hinted at what's next, when are you going to re-release Willpower, The Legend of Willpower? When will we get to see that?
People have asked me that. And I will say, man, I got to pay the bills this year. This year is all about paying the bills.
Right.
And next year is going to be about my indulgence, because I do believe, Willpower has a place in the new mythology. And a couple other concepts I have.
All right.
Definitely be printed. So.
All right. Who were the big influences on you when you were starting visually?
Visually, Lee Weeks, Jim Lee,
that's a good one.
Mark Silvestri, Barry Windsor Smith, Arthur Adams. They were the staple. I mean, you couldn't get past those dudes. I mean,
yeah.
But I do think at first when the house styles changed, and you had all these guys coming out with these crazy styles, just stuff that looked like it should belong in a commercial ad in a magazine, maybe cartoony or realistic. I wasn't feeling it. I was like, man, you broke the rule. You broke the golden rule. You stepped away from the house style.
Yeah.
But now I realize that was so needed.
Yes, absolutely. You think about, remember the Fly from Impact? Clean, simple, iconic, beautiful. And you compare that to a Stephen Platt poster that looked like a pizza with everything on it. I wasn't a fan of that particular style. 1,000 tick marks do not art make. But those clean lines on things like the Fly, the Tick, even though it was deliberately exaggerated, I just found that much more appealing, and we can appreciate now that it was really those guys that kind of kept the old school alive through the dominance of that early image period. Because back in the day when we were working in comics, we didn't call it. They're calling it the Bronze Age now, Golden Age. So we call it the Dark Age. It was the Dark Age. It's like, where else is grim and gritty a selling point? Hey, come get the new Cadillac. It's grim and gritty. No, you don't want grim and gritty. You want bright and blah blah blah.
And let me say this: this is the reward for any of you guys trying to get into comics and trying to make comics. And earlier in the chat, I said, it's not for the wealth. It's not for the recognition. It's not for any of that. What it is for is your submittance, your addance to this cultural tapestry.
Yes,
that
absolutely
is evergreen.
Yes,
evergreen. So as you're working on a project, you're like, struggling. My light bill is going off. Whatever your situation is, you don't realize how whatever your contribution is, you don't realize how it's going to be seen 10 years.
Correct. Absolutely.
We're talking about comics that are over 40 to 50 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're still relevant
Absolutely.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. We're rapidly approaching 100 years, if we haven't already passed it. I forget when Namor first popped up. But this idea of superheroes in a modern mythology is about a century old now.
Yeah.
And if you want to create, just know two things. One, you can, but two, you're stepping on the hallowed ground.
Stepping on hallowed ground. This is real. That is what it is. This is American fantasy. I'll say it again.
Yeah.
American fantasy. Superman is Apollo.
Yes.
Batman is Hades. Flash is Mercury.
Yeah.
Yeah. Namor is Neptune.
Right.
They're all gods. You are creating gods. And what are gods? Reflections of our cultural values somewhere.
Right. Icons.
Icons, man. Icons.
It all
And the
comes down to
eternal,
icons.
and the eternal and the immortal universe are literary icons.
Right. I mean, you can't sum it up better than that.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome. Vince, we got to hang out more. You got to come on a draw stream on the Sunday, on the Madness Open draw stream. Hang out with us and draw. Chat, if you've got questions for Vince, drop them. Now is the time. By the way, everyone gets a wrench on my channel and on the Madness. If you've got links to drop them. That's why we give you a wrench. It's a sorry dog that won't wag its own tail. Hello.
He's talking to you, Timothy Olsen.
Yeah, Timothy, I have no idea what you're talking about with clearing up rumors. Don't come in here drunk. What's wrong with you?
and this is the great thing about that, Doc. We have enough of a circle now that we miss half that shit. We used to be in the middle of all of it. We miss a lot of it now. So that's
here is my approach to the infighting and the drama. I'm driving on this interstate. I have somewhere I want to go. If you've got a train wreck going on over there, I'm not even going to slow down and look at it. I just keep driving.
See,
I got somewhere I'm trying to get.
And he runs into the guy in front of him.
I'm with you on that. Is there a lot of infighting?
I'll say this as a person of color. There's no other country greater than the United States.
Oh, right.
And if you ever doubt that you see a person of color, you think, oh, he's so far liberal or this or that. No. We love our country. We look, but besides the indigenous people, we help build this country right beside whoever
Sure.
came with us.
Sure, absolutely.
Trust me.
I agree.
And we are, and just like superheroes, that we're talking about the grit of Americana. We all boil down to the exact same thing.
Yep.
We love our country. We want the best for all of us.
Yes.
And we are closer to each other than you realize.
That's right. We've been cooking in the same stew for centuries.
Same stew. And I think characters like superheroes really, really make that point apparent. You know, because look, we all want. They're all trying to save the innocent. They all want us to prosper. You know, this is why we try to make cultural icons. You know.
Yeah.
So believe
Absolutely.
me, brother.
Hojo says, my people didn't build anything in America. They couldn't utilize the wheel. It's talking about Native Americans. Listen. Just going to put this out there.
Oh, no.
We came over and kicked your ass and took your land to help you out in the long run. We brought you the wheel. We brought you whiskey and the firearms.
And horses.
And horses.
Yeah, and horses. That's right. That's one of the things.
There's so for all the blankets.
There's so many people that focus on division when division, though it is wider now, it's narrower.
Yeah.
It's not pervasive. I have tons of friends of every skin color, every ethnicity, and I don't give a fuck about any of that. It's, do you like good coffee?
Yeah.
Do you like good conversation? Are you smarter than a styrofoam cup? Then we can be friends.
And imagine this. Imagine the Justice League. Forget all the Super Friends, imagery you have. Just imagine the Justice League. All these super empowered beings of all different backgrounds. Who's that guy? Hibanchi. Who's that guy that's the Indian?
Yeah.
The Black Green Lantern.
Amazon.
The Amazons, Batman, a wealthy guy, Superman who comes from nothing but has all more power than Batman.
He's an alien. He is an alien. He's not
you went there. But imagine them all sitting around this table and they're like, you know what? Let's make this country great. Imagine what they are thinking and how they have to deal with each other. That's what comic books are. That's what America is. And if you're missing that, man, you got to pay attention to Saturday morning cartoons and read some more comics and get down into the nitty gritty of what an icon and a hero is.
God bless you. Absolutely.
Absolutely right. All right, boys and girls, we've reached that point in the show where we're going to start wrapping up here. Chat, last chance. Drop those links over there if you've got questions for Vince about this campaign or about his career. Now's the time. If not, in the meantime, we're gonna let me pull that down so we can all look at one another here. Vince, it was great having you. Tell people where they can find you.
Just type in Vince White comic book artist. You'll find me.
All right. See, I like that.
I like that. Simple.
That doesn't work for me. Tanner Hurley, my co-host, my friend, can't do this show without you. Tell people where they can find you.
Hey, you can find me here on the Madness Comic Network. I'm all over the social medias under Stephen Tanner Hurley. Just look for me there.
Yep, you'll find him there. The best smile on all of the internet. But look, Vince, I don't want him to fool you. He's fooling you right now. Take the headphones off and show him the white walls.
Uh-oh.
Tanner, show your age. He just looks young.
Dr. Strange look going on.
My genetics weren't that kind. Pops, tell people where they can find you, sir.
You can find me on the Madness Comic Network pretty much all day, every day, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. And soon we're going to be moving to some other platforms as well. Vince, I don't know if y'all noticed, but last week on the Comic Artist Hour with Les, Vince was there. This week on the Comic Hour with Les, Vince was there. Next week on the Comic Artist Hour, Vince is going to be there. So check it out.
Fantastic.
Pops, I just want to say this. You should add, you can also find you in every Cracker Jack box. I think that would be awesome. You can find me here, in every Cracker Jack box, because if I don't find a Pop Van Zandt in a Cracker Jack box, I'm going to be disappointed.
It's always great seeing you, brother. You know, always great seeing you.
All right. I've been your host. I'm Doc Blalock. I'm the writer and creator of Pariah Blood and Mud and the Pariah Saga, A Damn Dirty Thing, one of the Jake Bishop files, currently funding over on Fund My Comic. It is an open storefront. Get over there and get you a copy. We are going into fulfillment here in a few days of the first run, and I look forward to getting that in your hot little hands. I'm the host of the coffee shop here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Got a little YouTube channel, Doc Blalock, right there. I'm the only Doc Blalock on YouTube. There is a Dr. Blalock, but he's going to try to sell you supplements. Tell him to fuck off. You can find me on the Twitter, Doc Blalock 8404-8404. If you know what that stands for, hoorah. All right. We are going to say, now it's time to say goodbye to Jed and all his kin.
Look, I don't mean to be rude, but I'm tired of talking to you.
And don't think it hasn't been a little slice of heaven, because it hasn't.
Well, what do you know? I finally got the...
Psych! I forgot. I'm gonna play some trailers for some friends of ours, then we'll bail out of here. You guys check these guys out.
Space. A vast, dark void in need of exploration. Yeah, right! Space isn't about exploring, it's about getting rich. What's the fastest way to get rich? By collecting the splinters of Yggdrasil for glorious bounty. Too bad it's also the quickest way to get dead. Join Mistress Craven and her crew of scantily clad scoundrels as they sail the stars in search of the splinters of Yggdrasil. Magic, mayhem, and miniskirts in space. Go to abochrysly.com to learn more. See you soon, matey.
How do you end this thing? How do you put the where's the brakes on this bus? I forgot.
Jazz hands. Jazz hands.
All right.